All right. So just as a review, you've got your contour lines done, and then you need to do what before you start shading?
Erase the lines.
Erase the lines. Erase the grid. All right. If you were to shade before you erase the grid, then you're erasing your shading and all that work you just did. And like I said yesterday, I find it easiest to start with, you guys, this is going to be really short as long as you're not talking the whole time. I find it easiest to find an area that's darker and work towards the lighter values that way. I don't know why. It's just easier for me. I think the contrast, because it stands out more, makes it easier for me to see. So that's my advice to you. That's how I would do it. But definitely feel free to do it on your own. Remember, the hair is going to go last. So we're just going to do these areas that you can see in the skin tones. And, make sure that you don't want anything to look simplified. If everything starts to look like the same gray and you don't have enough changes in value, that's one of those things that you'll be graded on. So you want to make sure that everything, you're using that full range of value that you're going to get really sick of hearing me talk about. Remembering that people and things in nature in general have really soft edges. It's great. Remember that expression yesterday I was using was fuzzy. Even this crease, even though it's a pretty clear, distinct line, it's still kind of fuzzy. There's no hard mechanical edge to it. So yours shouldn't have that either. And you want to work just one section at a time. Remember, keep your pencil marks about 1/4 of an inch in width. You never want to be going really fast or really wide. You shouldn't see individual individual spaces, white spaces between your lines. And to be honest, there's a lot going on in the simplest of parts. So in this tiny little area, it doesn't look hard, but it's not easy. All right, there's a lot of value changes in just this tiny little area. There's this little shadow that we see, which is actually probably the eye socket itself. And we do need to show that that is darker than this middle area right here. We do show that this is a darker shadow than right here, and that it gradually gets darker again as it gets closer to the eye. And that's a really subtle difference, but the only way to notice those kinds of small, subtle differences is if you are looking at one small section at a time. If you're trying to shade the whole eye really quickly all together, you're gonna miss all those details. You're not gonna notice them. And then it's not gonna look right, and you're gonna wonder why. All right? So that is the first thing, is make sure you're working in really small increments. There's no reason to move on until you are satisfied with the part you just did. And something about the eye that is always kind of tricky, especially, once you get to your own drawing of your own face, is the iris and the pupil and all that stuff. It can be a little intimidating, but it doesn't need to be, so I'm going to jump to that spot. Like we said before, you don't have to do anything that isn't there. The grid isn't lying to you. It's telling you exactly where everything has to go. And you drew in those shapes of the shadows on purpose. I drew in that reflection because I saw it there. So trust it now when you start shading. Don't try to simplify it. Trust the boxes. Trust what you drew in the first place with your contour lines, and that you did that on purpose. It is supposed to be set up the way you have it set up. Remember, if you want something darker, like this is one of my darker values, I'm not going to press any harder. I'm just going to go over this area more than once, a few times. Or more, I should say, instead of saying more than once, I should say as many times as needed, until it's as dark as I need it to be. And then, to be honest, with the iris, what I would do, I know there's kind of those little spokes on the inside, but I also see that it's lightest there's almost like a light ring right in the middle, and it gets darker as you get to the edge of the iris, and it does get a tiny bit darker as you get to the pupil too, almost like a donut. And so I'm going to just kind of shade that as if I don't see those spokes. And even within this area, I'm still going to work in really small sections. No tracing. You could trace before you took this class. You wouldn't need to take it anyway. Thanks for asking. Yeah. It looks harder than it is, you guys. I honestly think that this is a lot easier than the still life. I think the still life is really hard. You're drawing from life. You guys. I think the still life is significantly harder, so don't be intimidated by this. You can do this. Can you have this one? Yeah. No, sorry. You're going to have to do your own. All these tricks up your guys' sleeves. All right, so this right now is really flat. In general, I mean, I don't have those little spokes in it. Getting there. And that's what I would do last. It's kind of like I guess I treat it like I would treat the hair. So I do that on top of the general value after the fact. So now I do see those spokes, like I said, and I start where it's darker, and I just go right over out from that dark shadow, and I lift up as I get towards the center where it's lighter. And I do that out, basically just out from the dark part of the iris. It's kind of hard for you to see that, isn't it? And then I do that same, there's kind of like that center ring, like I said, that's a little bit darker, and I'll do that same thing starting in the dark part. Whenever you're doing anything like this, you want to lift up towards the lighter area and start your mark in the darker area, especially when you get towards, when you start doing your eyelashes like I'll do next. All right, so the eyelashes, again, you get all your skin tones done first. You start your mark where it's darker, and you always have to lift up. Anytime you're doing any hair, even if you have really long hair and it's the hair on your head, you're still going to do short, quick marks. You can always extend them out longer, and it just ends up looking a lot more realistic than if you start doing this and it's really, you like just try to draw one long strand of hair and just lift up at the end. Your hair tends to look really stringy. It doesn't really look very realistic. So no matter what, you're going to do short, quick marks in the direction that you see the hair going. So I'm starting at the base, sort of the root of the eyelash, and lifting up towards where I see it get lighter. When you're drawing your hair on your head, you're going to be lifting up towards your highlight where the hair actually gets lighter. But eyebrows and eyelashes where the hair is actually this short, you're just lifting up towards the end of the hair. And the closer together, it's just like anything else, you're layering. The closer together your marks are, the darker it's going to be. You're going to fill in those spots. You still want to hatch. You don't want to just color it in. You still want to hatch. You can kind of soften the edge once you have that down, so you don't have all those individual points. All right. Take one tiny chunk at a time. It should take you a while. If you started it today, you shouldn't finish it today. Maybe. If you started it yesterday, you shouldn't finish today. Maybe by the end of the hour today, you would finish. That's how long this should take you. That's how long you should be spending on each tiny little part. Okay? But for sure, by the end of the hour tomorrow, you guys should be done. Like I said, this will be collected on Friday with your third drawing. So keep this, the value scales, and this art graph sheet in your portfolio for Friday. Whether you have a drawing done for Friday or not, you should turn it in so that you at least get credit for these things. All right, you all saw what happens when you